I have been leading SAR teams in high-altitude terrain for 11 years. I want to say that up front because what I'm about to describe is not the story of someone who panicked or made a bad call under pressure. It is the story of someone who made the correct call and has not slept well since. October 2022, Colorado Rockies. A solo climber reported overdue by his girlfriend when he missed a check-in. Last known position put him at approximately 11,400 feet on a route that experienced climbers use regularly. Weather window was closing. A front moving in from the northwest with the kind of speed that high-altitude terrain amplifies. I deployed a 4-person team. Myself and 3 volunteers with between 4 and 9 years of SAR experience each. We went up. We found his gear cache at 12,200 feet. Pack, tent, food supply, all left in a manner consistent with a planned rest stop. Not abandoned in a hurry. Left deliberately, which meant he had continued higher. We continued higher. At 13,100 feet, my lead volunteer, 8 years, the most experienced person on the team behind me, stopped and looked at me. He did not say anything. He looked at me, and then he looked at the sky to the northwest, and then he looked back at me. I knew what he was telling me. I checked my watch. I checked the weather data on my GPS. I did the calculation that 11 years of high-altitude SAR had trained me to do without thinking about it. If we continued upward at the pace we needed to search effectively, and the front arrived on the low end of its projected window, we would not make it back down before dark at altitude in deteriorating conditions. There was a man somewhere above us. He might have been alive. He had been overdue for 19 hours. I called the turnaround. I want to describe what that moment feels like because I do not think people understand it from the outside. It does not feel like a decision. It feels like something being taken from you. You are standing on a mountain with everything you have trained for pointing you upward, and you turn around and you walk down, and the mountain keeps whatever it has. We got down 40 minutes before the front hit. If we had continued for another hour, we would have been caught at elevation in 0 visibility and wind speeds that came in at 47 miles per hour. The climber was found 6 days later by a recovery team. He had continued to approximately 13,800 feet. He had died from exposure. The medical examiner estimated time of death at somewhere between 18 and 24 hours after his last confirmed position. Which means when I called the turnaround at 13,100 feet, he may still have been alive somewhere above me. I do not know if 40 more minutes of searching would have found him. I know that if I had not called the turnaround, my team would not have gotten off that mountain safely. I made the right call. I know I made the right call. Every person with experience in high-altitude SAR who I have told this account to has told me I made the right call. I'm telling you this because I need you to understand what the right call costs the person who makes it. A man above him on the mountain. The front moving in. 40 minutes of difference between the right call and his team not getting down. Does the fact that he may have still been alive when the turnaround was called change whether it was the right decision, or does the math of 4 lives against 1 tell you the calculation was always going to end the same way? Drop your answer below, and tell me where in the world you are watching from right now. I read and reply to every single comment on this channel. We are pushing toward 100,000 subscribers before the end of this year. If these accounts mean something to you, hit that subscribe button and help us get there. Every single subscriber counts. I had been volunteering with a SAR unit for 3 years when this happened. 3 years is long enough to understand the protocols and short enough to still feel the weight of each one. November 2021, Pacific Northwest. A family of 3, parents and a 12-year-old had gone off trail in a section of wilderness that gets treacherous fast in November conditions. They had been missing for 31 hours when we deployed. Overnight temperatures had been in the low 20s. We were a 6-person team, experienced, well-equipped, moving well through difficult terrain. We had been searching for about 4 hours when we picked up a heat signature on our thermal unit. Faint, approximately 600 meters ahead and below us in a steep drainage. We moved toward it. I want to tell you we found them. I want to tell you this story ends the way searches are supposed to end. It does not. At approximately 200 meters from the signature, our team coordinator called a stop. The terrain between us and the drainage had changed significantly. A section of the slope above it had become unstable. We could see it. We could hear it. The specific sound of a hillside that is thinking about moving. Going down into that drainage meant committing to a position we could not safely extract from if the slope moved. The thermal signature was still there, faint but present. Something alive in that drainage. Our coordinator made the call. We could not go further. What happened next is the part I have told to 3 people in 4 years and have never included in the version I tell casually. We had an open radio channel. Standard procedure. Anyone in the search area could hear our transmissions. As we were preparing to mark the position and call for technical rescue, a voice came through the radio. A child's voice. Not words I could make out. The transmission quality was poor and the wind was significant. But it was a child's voice and it was coming from the direction of the drainage, and it transmitted for approximately 8 seconds before the channel went to static. Our coordinator looked at me. I looked at him. We marked the GPS position. We called it in. We requested technical rescue and slope assessment. We moved to a safe position and we waited. Technical rescue reached the drainage the following morning after the slope was assessed and deemed passable with proper equipment and precautions. They found the family, all 3 of them. The parents had sheltered the child between them through the night. All 3 were alive. The 12-year-old, when asked about the radio transmission, said she had found a radio in her father's pack and had pressed buttons until something happened. She did not know if anyone had heard her. Someone had heard her. I have thought about that 8-second transmission every day for 4 years, because the question I cannot stop asking is not what would have happened if we had gone down into that drainage. The question I cannot stop asking is what would have happened if she had not had a radio. What do you think would have happened to that family if the thermal signature had not been followed by a radio transmission? And does the fact that protocol kept the team from going down tell you the system worked? Or tell you the family survived despite it? Drop it below. The third account tonight is from a coordinator who made a call that had a different ending. A search where the calculation was made, the turnaround was called, and nobody came home from the other side of it. That is the third account tonight. I coordinated SAR operations in an Appalachian section for 8 years. I want to be careful about how I frame this account because the family of the person in it deserves honesty, and they also deserve to have his name remembered as something more than a case that was closed wrong. I am changing identifying details. But what happened? What the team experienced and what the record shows and what the record does not show. That I am telling exactly. March 2023. A solo hiker. Male. 53 years old. Experienced. He had done this section 4 times before and had done it once in March conditions. He had a PLB that he had tested before the trip. He filed a trip plan with his emergency contact and he called her from the trailhead. He did not activate his PLB. He was reported overdue on day 3. His emergency contact waited until the end of his expected return window. The correct thing to do. and then called it in. By the time we deployed, it was 38 hours since his last confirmed position. March in that Appalachian section is unpredictable in a specific way that I had briefed teams on many times. The temperature swings between day and night are severe. A trail that is passable at noon can be a different kind of terrain entirely by 10 p.m. He had been in those conditions for 38 hours with no contact and no PLB activation. We deployed 2 teams, good teams, people I trusted. Team 1 found his trail on the second day. Clean prints in a section of soft ground moving in the right direction, nothing indicating distress. The trail continued for approximately 2 miles and then entered a section of terrain I knew well. A steep drainage with a creek running through it that in March conditions becomes a specific kind of dangerous. Team 1's lead radioed me. They had visual on a position indicator, a bright orange object in the drainage approximately 400 meters below them. His pack was orange, the drainage in March. I had a conversation with Team 1's lead that lasted 4 minutes. We talked about the terrain, the conditions, the access and extraction. We talked about what it would take to get 4 people down into that drainage safely and whether it was achievable in the remaining daylight. I called it. Team 1 marked the position and we withdrew. We came back the following morning with technical equipment and rope teams. We reached the drainage. He was there. He had been there. The orange object was his pack. He had made camp in the drainage. A good camp, a smart camp, the camp of someone who knew what they were doing. The fire he had built was cold. The medical examiner established time of death in the late evening of the day Team 1 had been 400 meters above him. Late evening. Team 1 had been above him in the mid-afternoon. I do not know if he was alive when Team 1 called in his position. I do not know if he died before dark or after. I do not know if 400 meters and 4 people with ropes could have changed the outcome. What I know is that I made the call I was trained to make. I assessed the terrain, the conditions, the risk to my team, and I made the call that the protocol required. He had filed a trip plan. He had a PLB. He had done everything right. And on the last night of his life, he built a good camp in a drainage, and the people who were looking for him were 400 meters above him, and they went home. I filed the incident report. The report is accurate. The report says Team 1 identified a probable position indicator and withdrew due to terrain and conditions, and that recovery was completed the following morning. That is accurate. What the report does not say is that I have coordinated over 200 searches in 8 years, and I think about this one every single day. He filed a trip plan. He had a PLB. He built a good camp. Team 1 was 400 meters above him in the afternoon. He died that evening. Subscribe to Obscure Nights right now. Does the fact that he did everything right tell you the system failed him? Or does terrain that a team cannot safely enter in daylight tell you the outcome was already decided before anyone deployed? Drop your answer below. 3 searches. 3 turnaround calls. 3 different outcomes on the other side of them. The detail that runs through all 3 is simple. In 2 of the 3, the outcome changed because of something the subject did before they went in. In 1 of them, it did not. The 12-year-old in the drainage had a radio. Her father had packed it. That radio transmitted for 8 seconds, and it was the difference between a thermal signature that was left for morning and a thermal signature that a team waited for rescue to reach the same night. The climber in the Rockies did not have a PLB. If he had activated a PLB the moment he got into trouble above 13,000 feet, the search would have had a precise position. The turnaround would have been called at the same point, but the recovery team the following morning would have known exactly where to go. The hiker in the Appalachians had a PLB and did not activate it. Nobody knows why. He may not have recognized in time that he needed to. 2 lessons from 3 accounts. Pack a radio on any trip with children. Not a satellite communicator, a radio. A radio that can transmit on emergency frequencies that SAR units monitor. A child can activate a radio. 8 seconds is enough, and if you have a PLB, know the activation threshold. Do not wait until you are certain you need it. Activate it when you are uncertain. The only cost of activating a PLB when you did not need to is an embarrassing conversation with your emergency contact. The cost of not activating it when you did need to is what the 3rd account describes. These searches are closed. Reports are filed. 3 coordinators are still thinking about them. To the family of the hiker in the 3rd account, this channel covers his case because he deserved better than a report that is accurate but incomplete. He did everything right. That deserves to be said somewhere outside the official record. To the coordinator who submitted this account, thank you for trusting Obscure Nights with something this heavy. These accounts exist because people like you decided the silence was worse. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Links in the channel bio. And if you want to support Obscure Nights, we are working toward replacing the AI voice with a real voice actor so these stories sound the way they deserve to sound. The support link is in the bio. If you have a wilderness encounter, unexplained experience, or true story you'd like to share, send it to us. Our submission email can be found in the channel bio. This is Obscure Nights, where the cases nobody talks about get told the way they actually happened. Good night.